Alright, I guess we can look at a couple of these. I don't know why they're not loading. Alright, we can look at this one when your turn. What is this, UTG? Yeah, okay. You kind of picked a weird size, so we went for the bluff. I remember you rolled really high, and we'll see if our hand never bluffs. Like, obviously, the main bluffs, obviously you're trying to rip a 3. You could take hands like 5-4 that delay. I need to probably change the text at least to day 68. Alright. Alright. I'm assuming he's gonna be 33 high frequency here. Why is the pot so big? Oh, he bet into 2 people. I mean, that definitely changes the spot, but definitely changes the spot. Like, I can definitely fold now because he's not supposed to. Or even then, Sones definitely does fold, actually. Because you have a lot of strong hands here, so you just naturally overfold. You fold half your hands here. What's up, Linus Berries? Yeah, so I'm definitely defending this too much, actually, because the board is just so bad. Bless me. This is how I, like, typically try to play this spot. And you have ace-king somewhat, but you would just raise a lot of your 3x on the flop, though. And you just raise, because you raise ace-9 pure, and then you raise 3x as a bluff, and you obviously raise pocket 3s, but you can raise a lot of your 3x. Hello chat, what's up, Beppo? You don't want to block the folds here, also, like, there's not as much, but yeah, you just need to raise 3x very aggressively. So you actually don't have too much on the turn if you play well. He ends up picking a weird size, though, because he goes for the overbet. I guess it's fine. Probably because I'm supposed to not have them, which 3x. What's up, guys? What's up, everyone? Today we'll try to do a longer stream. I know I say that every day, but today it's actually happening. No, never raises. We just don't play any raises. But what if, like, I play flop a little differently and I don't raise on my fucking 3x? But yeah, you just don't raise on the turn here because now you're capped. So this is a weird example. Because I'm supposed to just raise 3x so aggressively that, like, I just don't even have it anymore. Like, what's up, Nightlife Anonymous? Because I think I'm supposed to, because I'm overfolding the flop so hard, boys. Star Power's quiet. Maybe, does it change if he range bets? Maybe we just raise more. Street poker, let's go. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, if you have to have bluffs here, you can bluff hands like this, because, like, it's hard to have enough bluffs. But I guess if you just never raise. Okay, now you raise 3x even more aggressively. You actually fold more, because that means he's betting more low pairs, so it doesn't actually change the spot. You just have so much ace-x here, I guess. Honestly, like, bad players will probably have too much ace-x, if I'm being honest. People will defend this, like, gross shit, because, like, they just don't fold in the big blind. Alright. You just overfold a lot here. The board is just not very good for you. Well, it's not that it's not good for you. It's just, like, the non-ace-x stuff isn't very good for you. It's just not profitable to defend it. Because you just have to, there's no turn card where you're calling this hand versus an overbet. So, it's like, you just fold. But because of that, you can play a lot of raises. You can play raise only, basically. And just bluff catch your middling ace-x, and then everything worse, you just raise. And you raise around ace-9. So I need to be playing these nodes more aggressive, and I probably should study, when we play some of these nodes today, if I have a spot like this versus UTG on an ace-high board or something, next time we play it, I'll probably try to roughly learn some of the turn lines. Let's just assume the turn comes off like a 6. It's not like the craziest card, dynamic turn card. Doesn't change much. It's not like a straight comes in. Obviously your 5-4 bluffs can continue, I guess, but... Oh, sorry, let me do the raising line. he calls some of these hands, so you clearly, this is likely going to be his turn folding range, so you likely don't bluff with anything that has these higher cards. But yeah, and then you're just overbetting around the 3. But you don't like the 3 as much because... I guess just blocking the 9 matters more, because he actually can bluff catch some of this 9x, and he obviously has 9s more than he should have 3s. He can also call it king 9, and... doesn't change that much, though. Oh, I guess you know what it probably is. It's like you don't want a queen. You definitely don't want to, like, you want an 8, but you don't have 8-3 suited. But you see, obviously 9-3's value, 6-3's value, 7-3 is interesting though that it doesn't ever. But you don't want to have 5-4 because 5-4. I mean, I guess 5-4 still calls. 5s and 4s don't, and 7s don't. 8-7's a crazy call on the flop though. Holy shit! Imagine a motherfucker just calls you with 8-7 here. He's just a psychic. Calling 8-7 and folding king 10 is hilarious to me. But I guess it makes sense. And you call like the ones that can like actually continue on turns, whereas king 10 can't. This can actually like, what, it has 2 cards that give you an open ender, and then like obviously you can hit a backdoor flush draw. See what 10-8. But Jack 10 folds. You could argue with that. But your main bluffs are just pairs though, so it's like 5-4 is less than 1 combo though. Is it? Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's true. You're probably right. Like, it's not that relevant. Okay, maybe the main reason 9x continues more often is... let's just say Queen River. Like, does Ace 3 ever fold or something? No way, right? No. Could it just be as simple as he has more 9s than 3s? That's better. I mean, yeah, like, obviously bluff catching 9x, like, where he's not gonna bluff catch 4-3. Because, like, your main value range is Ace 9. You don't even play Ace 3 this aggressive usually. You have some of it, but Ace 9's more common. You have to roll everything to protect a little bit, but in practice, it probably just doesn't make money. People just don't actually come after you here. But what's the difference between, like, I mean, I guess you have, like, you do actually bet 9-7 a good amount less. The 9-8. Professor, I sense a hand sounds good. I mean, obviously 9-8's better because I guess your opponent could have 10-8, right? Like 10-8 doesn't fold turn. Yeah. So that's like this like niche reason. Whereas like 8, so like the 8 suit will block both. Whereas like 7 suit only blocks this. Obviously technically you should also have more 7s than 8s, which is just not natural. Like no player plays like this. People will call 8s more than 7s. It's just like psychological, I think. Wait. Obviously you just don't want to unblock, you want to unblock all of these, and like technically your opponent's supposed to fold these higher Ace-X, which he has more often at some point, so you don't want the high cards either. Yeah. You just don't want any high cards on the turn, basically. I mean, except, like, does he call Ace-King? He calls Ace-King more often because you're not supposed to, like, ever raise it. I guess because you have Ace-King for value. Yourself. On the flop? Wait. Like, why would you overbet King 9? Yeah, but he prefers Ace-Queen, Ace-King to Ace-Queen. It likely just doesn't interact, but you just call the stronger one, so he can't go... Because, like, if you started calling Ace-Queen pure, then, like, I probably could bet Ace-Queen for value. So it's probably just, like, simple as that. You'll start mixing... Like, it's actually just, like, because the solver's clairvoyant, but in reality, this doesn't matter. It's just... You have to call this and fold this, because there's no difference, except this one's stronger, and I have Ace-King. Because you'll see that heuristic. Even if it doesn't interact, like, we don't have a king or a queen in the betting line here. If anything, the king is like actually trying to be worse because we have king 9. So I'm pretty sure that's the heuristic. Okay, you sent a hand. But then it's like we wouldn't have king 9 if he started folding ace king. Like, yeah, it's just like, yeah. Okay, we'll review one of our viewers' hands here. Right, so what, you get 3-bet by who? Is this a reg? 34 VPIP, so it's hard to know. But I mean, I guess I'll assume it's a reg. You just call down a triple barrel? Yeah, I fuck with it. I mean, you kind of have to call river with a made hand at this point. And obviously, like, probably, like, unblock slightly more bluffs. Like, in theory, you definitely do. Yeah, so it's a reg. I mean, yeah, you just have to call river. I mean, like, people are going to range bluff this river. So you're just getting a good price. It's not always, like, king, queen, or king, jack, or ace, king, right? So... I mean, you can't fold this river. I mean, you should probably just overcall this river. I mean, you're just naturally gonna have some folds because you're just gonna miss hearts. Like, so like you'll naturally like if he never bluffs, you would just get an EV that way. I'm assuming it's a pure call. Solver can be weird though because sometimes it'll like not bluff perfectly, so then it'll make your hands indifferent, but that's like intentional. But like assuming just natural play where like the opponent bluffs enough of his like he bluffs his air here, like it's obviously a call. Like, I mean, even in theory, like it's the properties are good. Ace unblocks, if anything, probably just blocks value on the river. Like, I doubt you're bluffing too much. And then with it mainly with the ace x, and then obviously the 5 is like he's never bluffing the 5. So, and like if you had like let's say 7s, you would have blocked 7-6, for example, which he had. So. Also, he had like a hand he probably shouldn't even have, right? Like how often does small blind even have 7-6 here? They need to do. I mean, people find that. In my pool, people overfind that, and they find like less. Yeah. Also, like let's just give him like what did he play? I guess we'll just like take out jams because people usually don't find these. Pocket 8s jam. You're supposed to jam turn, bro. No, I don't think he was as pot committed. Let's just B66. Because obviously when you're putting pot commits too much, like majority of your range just wants to jam. That's just how poker works. Because like, for example, like, you don't want them to free roll you with just overs if like the pot's so big. Because basically what ends up happening here, if let's say like your opponent goes like very big, what ends up happening is they can almost like free roll you. And you basically have to call a made hand. Or let's say you call a draw even, but and then by the time you get to river, like you're so pot committed you just can't fold anything. So it's usually good to fast play to like either even deny the equity itself. Or get the value from the draw. Like let's say like what if he's just betting turn here to free roll you, and if you only played calls, you never played jams, you could just bet this hand and give it up every time. For example. Like I'm just saying in theory. Like obviously in practice, if you have your reasons, like it's fine. Obviously range jam on the river, so I'm assuming your hand's gonna call. See, it mixes actually. So we were wrong. I guess your villain's supposed to bluff ace high, I guess. Oh, okay, I never thought about shoving it. I mean, it depends how like pot committed he is. I mean, it's like a different spot, right? Because he sizes his 3-bet down, so the whole spot plays weird. Let me just... We'll give him the same range, but we'll just like change his 3-bet. So we can actually get a more accurate view of the spots. So, pot. What is the pot on the flop? 19 bigs. So that would increase stacks by what? Like 2 bigs? Wait, what is this, 12? So let's just do 3 bigs, I guess. I mean, like, this is just random. The important is we move the pot down. Okay, it's 9.5. Nice. Yeah, this doesn't make sense because you called 9 bigs, so everyone should have 91 bigs, but whatever. It's 1 big too many. And then what is this, 28.5? I'll just put that in. It should be 33 now. Oh, look at that. He did go 75. Yeah, you do jam somewhat. Well, yeah, without the heart, you just jam, because otherwise he's just free rolling with the queen jack of hearts, because he's never gonna jam river. Obviously, I think he range jams on this card because it's so good, but like he probably jams queen jack of hearts. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, your hand doesn't call it. Actually, calls sevens instead. It's because he never has this hand, and he should be bluffing like ace nine. So your hand in this case actually like it's not one of those spots where you block the a6 bluffs. It's interesting. Ace 10 of diamonds is just like the check. Obviously, a6 of hearts is not very good to bluff. That's the main one, because like you probably just fold so much of it that it's like getting to the point where it's like. In theory, you have more a6 of diamonds, right, chat? If he's playing well, because he bluffs less a6 of diamonds on the turn than he does other hands. The reason why is when you bet turn, you have diamonds folds, right? You have king 9, you don't have this shit. You have ace 8, but you don't have this shit. So therefore, like by the time he gets to river, I think he could actually. Oh, but that means so even in a weird way, even if you decide to like bet ace 10 like on the turn here, because you're still bluffing it less naturally, he should call it more because you just can't. So you still call it a little more. You see, you call ace jack and then you don't call the others. But obviously these things have to be very minute, because at the second you like if you play too hard blocker logic the one way, then you can get reverse exploited. That's like what the solver thinks. So it's not gonna never bluff with the ace of diamonds, because then it just becomes too profitable to call these hands. This is actually why like if they don't go as thin as they should, yeah, they're not jamming nines for value. Oh, you're right. You're definitely right. Like they're not. I mean, honestly, like. Yeah, you could see someone jam like not jam eights, and also you could even see the overbluff. To be honest, like you could see the ace 8 of hearts. Like most people jam ace 7 of hearts here. Plus, like guys, he's clearly overbluffing. He has 7-6. Like he's not even supposed to have this in. So, yeah. I think when you're just getting good odds in a spot like this, you just call, because the variables. I mean, obviously it could be like you could also argue it's underbluffed like somehow, because like the jam frequency is off the charts, but in practice, I think, and like also they could end up with more king queen than they probably should here, but yeah, I think overall it's good to call these spots and you're getting like insane odds versus again. He didn't go thin and shoves hearts. Yeah, that's a better thought process. I'm just explaining the solver logic because I like care about thinking it, because I think it's important to get better. And honestly, it's the only part of the poker I really find that interesting. Unfortunately, because I'm kind of lame. But and it's the part that matters like the absolute by far least in poker, by the way. So most people that make the most, I think, like up to like very high stakes, maybe even very high stakes. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know. Just so like this guy doesn't call enough here. I'm just gonna hammer the button. So yeah. All right. Make sure to post more hand reviews, guys, if you got them. I'm just gonna keep reviewing my hands. But anyway, good call, obviously. And I know it's like it could be as simple as like the fact that you're very good makes it a good call. Like I know it sounds like troll thought process, but oh, I was debating BVB what the fuck to do here. Okay, guys, we're playing fucking limps today. We're playing fucking limps today. I swear. Okay, the plan today, guys, is 3 hours of play at like 3 o'clock, and then 1 hour of study, like with a short break, and then 3 more hours of play. Okay, for an 8-hour stream, and end around 10 o'clock my time. Like we're just gonna try to get like very accurate at the game. I don't really care. I'm not gonna worry about trying to like max exploit the stake. It's been driving me insane. So let's just try to get better at the game. Because I mean, you can still learn a lot from just playing spots and playing them accurately. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. Yeah, it's range B20. We found it. So obviously, you could check a little bit. I'm just no luck range. I probably would just range B20. How much did I lose? Probably none, right? Maybe like 2 bigs. No, not even. Okay. Obviously, yeah. So that's the full like yeah. It's to make a lot of like unnatural calls. So I wonder because he has weird hands, but I figured, okay, this is my thought process. I figured this hand would mix. It's not as good as having a diamond here. I think having a diamond here is obviously better. Having the 10 of spades is definitely probably a little bit better. Yeah, you're playing very defensive on the turn here. I would actually pick the bigger size. I think exploitively the bigger size makes more because people slightly raise ace jack more than they should. So they have tougher time defending. That being said, the 4 is very nice because he has 5 deuce and you don't have it. But it's queen ten. So obviously, okay, where are the diamonds? Diamonds are here, and then what? Here, here. Okay, so you like the queen more. And you clearly like the spade. You obviously like queen of spades because your opponent actually does fold a little bit of queen of spades on this turn. Obvious. So you're just getting naturally more folds. Which obviously just adds up. When you're like when you're dealing with like irrelevant blockers, it is nice to just have the slightly better card, right? Like even as people say like, oh, blockers are fake, da da da, like it's true, but like obviously everyone can understand why that like this will just make more money. It's like when you get to like river calling heuristics, that's when it can be weird, but like knowing simple stuff like this definitely will help. Like it probably just will generate you more money, like in the long run. But I had 10 of spades, so it probably was a good hand to bet. It doesn't like the queen of hearts as much for some reason. Oh yeah, so that was a mix, but I should have bet it actually. I think I rolled like a 70. So I overrated like how much, I underestimated how much this hand would bet. But we found the check, which is, we still play it as a check. What does villain have? We'll see. And on the river, yeah, this is what I thought. I thought this hand would check. I think like it has a little bit of showdown, and you do block around the jack for sure. So you definitely have to find splits. And then I think I need to get better at like finding like what are the better traps in the block line, like when I'm clearly splitting, like a spot like this. Obviously, I believe when you have a bluff, it's very simple. You think about what your value range does, the percentages of it, like roughly guess. You're not going to be like this accurate, and then you just mix. Like, yeah. Unless you like the only time is I think like if you're bluffing like a queen here and it's like clear that what's it called? Yeah, like with the higher stuff, you bet the small. I think sometimes when you have like how do I say this? Maybe what's important to think about is like okay. So you know what's funny is I would think like this the complete opposite. I was thinking like if a lot of his folding range is built around this queen and 10x, then wouldn't like blocking queen and 10x be better? Right? Like if I'm like why would I want to block 10-9 if he's pure folding 10-9? Why would I want to big bet fives if he's calling fives with the block? Wouldn't that be good to like you know what I mean? So it is quite odd. So obviously, okay, so when you block here, the main hands we're getting to fold are these like random dog shit floats. Like first of all, you might not have, so block might be overcalled. And then B, like random, obviously king high. King high is the obvious one. King and queen high is the obvious one. Okay. And then when you 75, you're making the pairs indifferent mainly. I guess he still calls five sometimes. That's why queen five is probably good. King sounds crazy fine, by the way. Yeah. What's going on with queen, queen, and king, king? Oh yeah, okay. So kings I think are good check because you block checkbacks, right? Like if you check, like it's gonna make more than the block because you block the block calling range, which is obviously a lot of king high, right? Like your opponents. Obviously you could exploitably, oh he doesn't raise enough ace high, but I don't know if that's actually true. So kings likes checking, whereas queens likes b75. Because I believe bluffs are probably supposed to be queen high. Yeah. So queens blocks bluffs, so queens never wants to check. I think like it's actually really easy to like get this thought process in game. Like you realize like the solver is not. It's sometimes this crazy shits, mainly on like weirder notes, but like having this simple of a thought process on like, okay, let's just one size here. I think people just play 75. They don't like mix enough Jack 10 to try and make you indifferent and do all this garbage. They'll just b75 their strong Jack X, check their middling ones, and play 75 around this. Or they'll just do some like bullshit overbet thing. I actually need to learn how to counter that. But that's for another day. Ace-10 specifically likes being the main trap. I think it's because that's the strongest hand your opponent has, and your opponent's supposed to raise worse. But the reason you don't, even ace king actually traps, but ace king's probably less good in the trapping line because you block the calling range in the block line itself, which is mainly king highs. That's probably like the only difference. You don't want to look at this heuristic because this heuristic is only true where it's like raising a little bit because you block ace 10. It's important to realize that. Some heuristics are stronger than others, and like the other ones follow up off that, if that makes sense. Because for example, let's say the heuristic was that, oh, I always block ace 10 because he raises whatever the fuck. He raises 10-9. Well, 10-9 is not such a good raise that like, can I just like change this action? 10-9 is not such a good raise to the point where like it has to raise, for example. So like, what makes JJ is the main trap? Yeah. It looks like. Because Jacks just blocks checkbacks. Also, it looks like you might check fours as well. You definitely check fours. Because fours blocks a lot of checkbacks as well. Same with threes. You just check all your sets. And aces protects the betting range. Because aces block reopens. So there's no point of checking it. Even if you block calls, your opponent's not now resorted to the calling other stuff. Other shit. If you only called ace high here, it'd be like massively overfolding. Right? Like you would only be calling this. Like, are you kidding? You would just be never calling you. So you don't really care. But yeah, basically you block checkbacks, which is very, very important in rivers like this when you block like to block checkbacks, because that's always what'll decide your hand's a good checking candidate. That's like the most important heuristic, I believe, as opposed to like for why a hand would trap. It's because it's not usually it blocks calls. Like I find people overrate this stuff, and people will like check aces in the spot, and then they'll like bet jacks because they unblock ace-x. But in reality, your opponent's going to reopen all the ace-x, unless he's a huge net, in which case we're in exploit territory. So, yeah. Because if I b75 jacks here and he calls, it's the same thing as if I check and he b75s ace-5 for value. Okay. Let's go to another hand, though. That was interesting. I mean, the only thing is, like, the river is very important here for me to get right. I think turn I played well. You need, like, because you're range v20, you have so many hands, you can't be that aggressive. It's VVB, like, yeah. You bet a lot around the 5. And what are the worst cards to have here? Actually, we can just look at what opponent's main folds are. Probably king, queen high, right? But the issue is king, queen high of draws. It's obviously like 9 and 8x. Yeah, obviously, a villain is folding a good amount of these king x suited hands. Especially king of spades stuff. Yeah. He's slightly more king of spades probably because he raises the other ones slightly more. Wait, is that even true? Or do you raise it slightly? I don't even know. Yeah, 9, 8x, but he's not folding much 5x. He doesn't have that much 5x. So you obviously like the 5x. You don't really interact that much with your main part of your opponent's hands. But if we go higher, like 8x, like across the board, you see you're blocking a lot. If you go to 9x, you're blocking a lot. If you go to 10x, you're blocking a shit ton. So yeah, that's what you won't see many with the 10. You'll see like a little bit of 10-9, but it's particularly you roll with the spades. Oh no, oh it's diamonds. It's flush draw. I'm trolling. I'm obviously trolling. Imagine. Big Yuha, what's up? You guys, do you like the sweater today? I fucking put it on. Alright. For the run good. Get that run good sweater going. Okay. Let's go to the next hand. It looks like I don't have that many. I got this spot wrong because I need to raise 3x. Honestly, I feel like I didn't actually digest the spot well enough, so let's go to turn here. Sorry, what's the spot? It's this one. I just need to be more aggressive with I get my 3 combos of 5-3 here instead of mixing. It's definitely bad. And then we overbet, we raise, and what's like, let's just say queen comes off. So like counterfeits your 9 and 3x. How much are we checking? Okay, you're obviously betting your 3x of hearts, I guess, and you're mixing your sets. And you just mix out all your value, but it's not overall not a very good card. And then how do we play versus like the check? Yeah, and he's gonna do this reopen thing. Do we actually run raise? Okay, we do run raise. A lot, actually. So you have to mix with your 3x of hearts here, and you have to mix with your value. And the reason why is because you need to be balanced to protect your like 5-4 from realizing, and you protect your like not queen 3. Protect your like jack 3 of spades from realizing potentially, because he probably doesn't fully want to bet like. I guess he doesn't have anything that jack 3 beats, but you have to realize. I guess 10-8. Yeah. Alright. And you want to call your 9x obviously of hearts, but yeah, not a good card. Whereas like what? Say like a good card is probably like a 5, right? Why is this opening? Obviously you have 4 deuce, which is nuts. Yeah, 5 you're just hammering it though. You just go crazy. You just don't want 10, 9. You don't want overcards because you don't want to block and you don't want to go that thin with ace queen, I guess. But or ace jack. But you're just hammering it here. Except, yeah, you just don't want the overcards because your opponent's just folding all these overpairs that he bets on the flop. This heuristic probably changes slightly if he doesn't range bet. But even then, like on the river, if you want to bet something to bet the river, then what? This spot's interesting because he has a lot of ace-6 of spades, so yeah, you just play really defensive now. You just can't bluff that aggressively because ace-9 can't jam. I think it comes down to how aggressive you can play with particularly ace-9 in this spot. If ace-9's not good, then you're just not going to be doing well. If ace-9 is like nuts, then you're doing pretty well. So, like if an 8 comes off, I'm assuming like ace-9 is just nuts. So we have good time. We play really aggressive. We barely check. It's interesting you don't want to bet 5-4. I guess your opponent folds ace-4. See, he's mixing folds with ace-5, which is probably not practical. He has 4s and 5. I guess he has 5 for himself, right? But what are like the best jams? I don't even know. I guess it's all the 9x. You just don't want 9-8. Oh no, 9-8's value now. What am I saying? How much EV do you lose for not playing 75? Fuck, I didn't see. But it's like, this is obviously just strategy. Okay, you still just jam 9-8 for value, obviously. Jack 9 mixes now. You slightly prefer to unblock ace jack suited. Or, sorry, you prefer to block ace 9 suited, obviously. What am I saying? But the reason you still mix it, I think, is slightly just like you see it mix more, but you mix it because, which in real life, I would just always bet jack 9. But you mix it because your opponent has so much ace jack that if you were to face up with this heuristic, I think you could just change and start calling the other ace jack, preferably. Even though he has 1 snap, like, let's see if that actually is true for fun. Why not? Why not? This is shit I find fun. But do you see it's almost like the same? It's not going to change that much. Actually, let's do the exact number. 42.7, and we're going to add... that's not even going to make... We're going to add 3.9%, and we're going to lower this by 3.9, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, we're going to do... Cancel... What? So this is going to be 100. And then what is 42.7 minus 3.9? What? It's like 38.6. Oh my god. Oh no, I'm doing it wrong. Bro. You can't do 60? Okay, whatever. Let's just do fucking 60, okay? I don't know. I did this wrong. Whatever. Fuck me. I'm the worst at running hands in the world. Oh. So now he prefers Jack of Clubs, right? Or Jack of Hearts? I don't know. This is probably just a waste of time. Alright guys, maybe we'll play in a sec here because I actually don't have as many hands as I thought. Alright boys, I think I'll play now. Unless someone sent a hand review in the chat. All right. Anyway, guys, we'll go access denied. We'll go 4 minutes.